Okay, I got it. We need 23 feet of the cap for those, so we'll do two pieces. It's 22 feet, but if I go 23, that'll give us 6 inches on each piece, or 3 inches on each end of each piece at 11 foot 6. And then the ends here, I need about 8 feet, so I can seam it there and there, in the middle, and there. So that'll just be a piece 16 inches. I'll hem this end 16 inches down 4, and then we can field form it down on those sides to meet in with those. And then I've got a bucket of tar that'll cover all of this membrane, and get the cap on, ready for the deck. All right, I had to flip that over. I forgot I was gonna bend a little drip edge on that. I'm not gonna hem it because I don't have as much material as I'd like, and it's just going under a bridge really. A 12-inch beam with, we'll call it a 1/4 inch of step on it. We got 20-inch material. This is a little under. We want about 12 1/4. So it's 4 minus an eighth, and then minus a half. So 4 minus would be 2 3/8 here, but since the bend takes up a little, we'll go 3 1/4 here, and then that 1/2 inch up to that. We'll look up to that. And then any fine tuning we can do on the last bend. Walking. Let's see. Okay, three more. Alright, I don't know if I'll start getting those on today. I don't know what time it is. I'll have my phone. We'll check on the burn pile. I might get them going. We'll see. All right, that was largely unenjoyable. Well, completely unenjoyable. I was notching these back. I've got this cap coming down. I hadn't really planned on capping them when I put these in. These, I put one high and one low to brace this way, whatever little bit I could get out of it. Anyway, I notched those back so the cap will then come over that and turn out, and it'll clear that. That won't hinder anything there. Let's go back here. We got a little side project going today. It's supposed to rain 2 inches this weekend, early May. Everything's starting to spring up. I don't know if these took off or not. I got this side cut and fit, and I'm gonna go do the other end, get it all clamped up. I may not attach it all down or seam it all together right now because I got to put some sealant in there. It's pretty wet. I'll probably do it anyway, but I'm gonna get the pieces cut and then go have some lunch. Okay, I've got all that cut and fit. I had a little issue over here. I got the wrong Sharpie mark. Luckily it's underneath the deck and you really won't see much of it. I'm gonna wait for a dry day to put mastic tape and seam these over and screw it all to the bridge and everything. So project for a different day. All right, this pile of bar grating showed up, I guess yesterday. And first order of business, I guess it had a little trouble in the truck getting them off the truck. They were stuffed into the back of a 40-foot closed van. So I'm going to, there's 3 nice pieces of galvanized I'm going to set aside. I bought some extra, so I'm going to flip those off over here. And then I'm going to make a stack of, I think, 9 pieces. I'll go through it so that I can get that down to the bridge. And then the other pieces, I will stack a little better on a pallet so they're easier for me to move around. So I don't know if I'll start on that now or do it in the morning. All right, minor conundrum. Here's what we got. We got these 3 galvanized ones down here. 2 of them are 9 feet. 1 of them is 8 feet. They're pretty nice. I'm probably not going to use them on the bridge, so they're sort of out of the running at this point. This stack here is all about the same condition. They are 8'6". There is 7 of those, and then 7 of these other ones in a little bit better condition, but they're 9 feet. And then there's this one I think is 10 feet. So there's 7 of the 9s, 7 of the 8'6". The bridge is, this is 10 feet. The bridge is 24 feet, covers it. It may look better with another piece, so that's 8 pieces because they're about 3 feet. It may look better with one more piece to send it out 18 inches each way. I'm not 100% on it, so I'll probably just go wrap the flashing up. Well, let me go backwards. I can take this 10-footer and make it either in this pile. I could take 2 of these and make all of them 8'6", like I had planned. They were sort of sold as 8'6", but they did say random length. Those 2 over there are 8-footers. Those clearly are too short for what I want. Although they would probably work, I'd rather have the 8'6" since I'm closer to that. So I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. I may just cut a board that's 8'6" and 9 foot tomorrow, take it down there and sort of lay it out, see what it's going to look like, and then decide. But I do have probably a couple hours putting flashing on, so that's what we'll do. But anyway, this is all sorted. Now I know what we got, and I can sketch it out, figure out what I want to do. Okay, I've got this, let me zoom in a little bit. I've got this matting that I cut to go on top of that flashing to protect it. The bar grating is going to sit, the decking top is going to sit directly on top of that, and it'll cushion it a little bit. At this point, I'm not planning on attaching the decking through any of that top flashing into those bridge beams. They've had a long life previously, they're still sound, but I'm not willing to jeopardize them any further. So the plan I have, it won't really be a floating top, but it'll be anchored to the amount that I think it needs to be anchored. But all the pieces will be tied together. They'll just be sitting on top and unable to shift, if that makes any sense. You'll see. I'm kind of stalled out now on this project. I may go work over some of those panels. In the meantime, I have some large angle irons at some 6x4 by, it's probably 3/8 wall, that are gonna sit on top of the decking and clamp all the edges together, and it'll run long. They're 30 footers, so they'll make it from there to here. I can't get them down here. I can't get them off the rack they're on, and I cannot get them down here since both my telehandlers are out on other jobs right now. I mean, I could do it, but it'd just be worth waiting to get the machine home, or one of the machines home. Anyway, we'll go do something else now. Oh man, it's so close. All right, here's what we got going. I've got 6 feet outside to outside of those timbers. The decking I have, I could go 9 feet, I could go 8'6". 8'6" is what I thought I was buying. They're all random. They're all at least 8'6". Most of them were. So I have a pair of 30-foot 6x4 by 3/8 wall angle irons, and I was going to set those across there as kind of a curb and a stiffener at the edge. You'll see that develop as the video comes along, but I have some short pieces I can add to it to make up for that, because I'd like to be able just to set the angle iron out on that bridge, out on those side timbers. I guess I will add to it. I could shrink this up. So anyway, this is 15 inches or 1'3" and 1'3", making 2'6" plus the 6 foot, which is 8'6". If I shortened it up a little bit, I wonder what it would take to get it into just where 30 feet would reach. Might look better. I'd have to trim them all. Some of them are already 8 foot, and that'd be a good use of the short ones. I may do that. I think I'll string the other side to where 30 feet will go on there without taking the time to add to them. And if it shrinks it up, I'll still have, as long as I got 8 feet inside to drive, I think I'm good. My dozer's right at 7 feet, maybe a little wider, so it should have no problem. I may have to put some boards down to catch it all, but we'll see. All right, so that's right at 12 inches, giving us 8 feet overall, if that's what we do. I can actually go a little wider because it's a little under 30 feet right now. It's not a super big deal to add a piece to them. Just not sure I want to. But in any case, I kind of know where I'm at now size-wise, so I will probably bring the decking down and stack it out there, and probably trim it in place. That'll work. Go clear up to that. Okay, at this point we're gonna swap out 1, 2, and then the far one, I think. Second to the last one. I don't know if you can see it out there. It's simple enough to make these lines line up. To get the width that I'm looking for, I'll just swap those out with some of the longer ones I have. Pretty simple. Okay, I think I salvaged the layout. What I can do is I can get, let me zoom in over here. These are all 4 inches on center of these bars, and that's about mid-span, so 2 inches there. And the layout of a few of them has it sitting fully on a bar here, and at the other end, all 4 inches of the cross members are exposed. So I think if I was shooting for 8'6", but if I jog it all that way and give up an inch on each side, I can have 8'4" and have that bar at 2 inches in from the outside edge, which really works out for the way I'm going to do the side rails on it. So let me zoom back out here. I think that's a good solution. So I'll have to trim both sides, but what I found from doing the front on the shipping container porch is that it trims real easy. If you just cut at a decent speed, it cuts real good. So that's what I'll do. All right, I weld prep those. They're all beveled out. I'll weld up everything from this side. I'm gonna lift it up, pull the plywood out, weld everything from this side, and then flip them and back gouge that with a grinder and put one pass on the other side. All right, with that on there, I'll be able to drive these out of here down the driveway and stick them down over the hill. They're now a little over 32 feet long, 6 by 4 by 3/8 wall angle. So I can get them out over the hill and then I can drive down in there and pick them back up and swing them down across the creek. I should be able to set them there. I'm just trying to get those down here today because I'm shipping the machine out this afternoon or early in the morning, and just in case I get around to it, I don't be stuck with them clogging up the yard. It's gonna be cool. I love a Honda. All right, I'm just heading down to work on the bridge. I'm all loaded up. I had to grab a generator because my work truck's still in the shop with the welder on it. So I'm kind of working, sort of limping along here. Stopping in my driveway here, I've got a little spot that's been pumping mud for a couple of years. When it gets super snowy out here, I gotta cut the line real close to get up my driveway just because it's steep and off camber there. So I'm just gonna dig that out. I had a little rock I was moving around up in the upper yard yesterday, brought a couple buckets down. So I'm gonna dig this out, and that way when I drive this down, I can just dump the dirt down by the creek or somewhere near there. But I also need the excavator because both forklifts, both telehandlers are out on jobs, and I can move those big, the angle curbs. I can move those around with the excavator if I need to. So it's all got to kind of go down there, and since I'm going by here, I'm gonna group my trips together. like it might have been an old stump or something in there, but it's been soft for a while, so I have to move over that way a little bit. I'm not really concerned about up here. It's mostly the wheel track where I drive. It just kind of starts getting real soft. I can't get past it. All right, there was a little method to that madness. This will work. I'm eventually going to build up this whole area. It's kind of a low spot and it always potholes out. And you know, it's kind of a mess for the neighbors. So I got a few more loads of 1.5 inches, and eventually this will get topped off more because this will all blend in through all that to kind of make an easier approach. But anyway, I filled the hole up. You saw the pile go in. You run it over with your uphill track to just kind of tamp it in there, and then you come above it or work your way up with all the weight of the boom hanging off the side, so your downhill track is then pushing it completely. And if you start like that with the heavier side, it'll just push everything out and make too deep of ruts. So you just kind of go over it once and then go over it again. If I have to, I can get the plate compactor, but I think that'll work. A little bit of rain and blend all that in, wash the dirt out of the rock. Anyway, got a couple more things to do. A little pile of stuff to pick up right here. There's the barn over there. More on that later. Okay, let's get to work. We've got a rock stuck in the downside of the dump lever. I gotta work on that. All right, ran a string line and straightened out the rod wires right on the edge as best I could. I'm going to trim this side up and set that angle curb up on there first thing before I work on the other side. All right, I've got the ends set at each end width-wise correctly, or at least the same with each other. The center is, each one of those long angles is bowed in a little bit just by, most angle iron is curved, usually that way, and it's exaggerated on a heavier, longer piece. These are now, I think, 32'3". So what I have to do is I have to go get a board that I can drive in the middle here to push both sides out so that I can start attaching this underneath, and I can explain that once I get started. Actually might get lucky here with these pieces. We'll see what happens. I won. Perfect. Okay, saved a trip. Super. All right, so what I got going here is I had kind of messed around with a couple ideas. I thought about doing a wood curb, but I didn't really like the longevity of the wood curb idea. I didn't want to have to redo it in 20 years. Still might. I could improve on this, but what I've arrived at is a full metal curb. As you can see, this is sitting on top of the decking. That doesn't actually support it. It doesn't actually need to be supported. It just has to keep from moving a lot because most of the wheel track pressure happens over the beam. So I'm not concerned about out there. But what I had planned on doing was putting a flat bar underneath the decking and bolting it through, through both pieces with the decking sandwiched in the middle. But in those centers in between bolts, I just felt like it was too much work for what it's going to get used and what it's for. So what I've come up with at this point is also it would be a ton of holes to drill in both sides, get them all to line up, get them bolted through, hardware costs, time costs, drill bits, consumables. Didn't want to deal with it. The truck with the mag drill in it is in the shop right now. So what I'm doing is I'm going to go through and drill a few holes now to put more of these timber bolts or timber screws through that. Basically, I'm going to sandwich the bridge decking in between angle iron on the top and a 4x4 PT underneath. And so the 4x4, although it'll be, caught in the drips and it'll get wet, it won't be in direct. It'll be protected somewhat under there, and I'll put enough screws in there and it should hold for years. And if I need to bolt it later or change it out, I sure can, but for right now it's great. So that's what we're doing. Okay, I'm gonna go through and drill the rest of this side in before I start on the other side. But that's essentially that. And then looks like it's gonna finish up pretty quick. So I'll show you, I think I'll still be able to cut and film the pieces that fill in those corners. I've got a plan for that, got some material for that, and I can definitely get them cut and fit, although I can't install them today because, again, the truck with the welder is in the shop. I have a spare welder, but it's put away right now. It'd be easier to wait for the right rig to come back. Okay. All right, we're gonna get that side drilled. Now I think I'll go ahead and drill all the holes. What I'm doing is this, let me zoom in a little bit here. So, it's too far away from my pointer. So anyway, you can see where in the photo there, or the video, where there's two close together, that's each side of where a piece, there's a separate piece of decking there on each side of that. And then I've got these intermediate ones. The pieces are all 3 feet wide. And so I've got the angle iron straddles, let me zoom out here. The angle iron straddles one of those wires. So the inside screws are on one side of that wire, and those intermediate screws are on the outside. That way it really can't move. I think by the time we get them all in there, it'll be plenty strong enough. So at the bottom, or at the end of the near end of the bridge, I have those angle irons kind of dubbed off there, and I need to do that at the far end. When I had them set up in the yard, I think I had time enough to move them down here. I would have had to turn them around or get a cord. I knew I'd have a saw down here, so I'll cut those before I leave with the saw, and then I'm going to measure up for my infill pieces here. I'll show you what we're going to do there, and I'll probably drill a few holes in them so I can anchor them down. But those will wait. You'll at least get to see what they're going to look like. So we'll clean up, and then I got to get my board out of here and the rest of the garbage and clean up. Close to having enough. Let's see. 1.5. Man, that's really close. All right, so this is what I came up with. I had some quarter plate, most of a sheet sitting around. Now I know the little piece I got to cut for in there, and then where I come off the edge of the bridge, it's probably going to tip down. Let me get my finger out of there. I'll probably add in a little gravel there, and then that's going to land on a little piece of flat bar, like 1/4 by 3 maybe, just so that it doesn't knife edge out that gravel. And it's only going to take tracks which would ride over it, not pressure it a whole lot, so I think we'll be okay. But in any case, this comes out on the wood real nice. I'll probably paint them up before I install them in there when I get to that, once I get the welder back. So let's get the ones on the other end. All right, that's a wrap. We might come back down closer to sunset, catch a better light for some final pictures. But that's the bridge deck now.